Hey YouTube, here's a little presentation of cargo trailer that I have here that I converted into a camper. This is actually the third one that I've done, so I'll just go over some of the key highlights here. We'll start here at the front. We've got a little grill. It's made by Brinkman. It's lightweight, picked it up at the Home Depot. It is mounted with these metal L brackets here that you can pick up anywhere to make sure that they're bolted securely to the structure. When you're ripping the inside out to do the insulation and the wiring, you have to take into account in the design to make sure there's a cross beam to bolt into, because, you know, as it stands, these are typically they just have the uprights here with the spacing in between, nothing really solid to bolt to. So you got to keep that in mind. Let's see here. Spare tire, you got to have that. Picked up this spare tire bracket, mounting bracket from Amazon. I guess it's okay. I don't know yet. Looks fine. Over here we've got the battery box. I've got the cover off here. I've got a piece of wood underneath here, weatherproofed plywood that's bolted to the frame with some additional bracketry. It's solid as a rock. Like, I've done it before, so I know it works. We've got the 24 size deep cycle battery going to a Harbor Freight inverter, and it only puts out like 750 watts. I've used these inverters before. They work great for me for what I'm using. I'm not running any large appliances off any of these things, just like, you know, little TVs and lights and whatnot. Okay, we've got a propane tank here that's mounted to the structure, that's actually bolted all the way through with some carriage bolts and some beefy washers on the inside. It's not going anywhere. The bracket's made by I believe the company is Carlson Stromberg. I got it off of Amazon, and just for good measure, as you're going down the highway, I bolted this through into the steel beam, you know, just so I could sleep at night. But I mean, this thing is really heavy duty steel. If you're not familiar with it, at a glance it looks pretty chintzy, but I promise you it's not. So I think it's perfectly safe. Let's move back around this way here. Let me pan up here. I don't know if I mentioned that this was a 5x8 Vino's. I think it's a 2015. I just picked it up a few weeks ago. I've been working on it. Here is an amber colored porch light, is what they call it. I purchased it off of Amazon. It's wired into a 12-volt panel in the back that we'll get to later. That's all you need really when it's dark at the campground and not bright, so it disturbs the other campers. Let's see here. The windows. These are white PVC utility windows that you can pick up at the Home Depot or the Menards or whatever. They have to be modified just a little bit. And then, of course, you know, during the process of tearing the inner walls out so you can put in the insulation and the wiring, you have to take into account the location, the dimensions, and then put the appropriate framing on the inside so you'll have something solid to mount to. You can't just mount it. You can't just cut a hole in the aluminum skin here and then bolt it to it and expect it to last for any amount of time. So going inside here, let me reach inside and turn on the light switch. We got a simple LED switch, light switch that came with the trailer when I purchased it. I just relocated the position, extended the wiring. So let's see here. Let's start over here. 32-inch TV mounted to the wall. Behind it, I don't know if you can see it, we've got a little bit of a setup here. That's basically your standard 120 outlet. The switch there, it bridges the gap between the inverter and the shore power, which is the shore power inlet, which is on the back end of the camper. Basically, when I'm plugged into shore power, I don't want any power being backfed into the inverter. Not that that would really do anything, but I don't know, so don't want to do it. So that's kind of like the on and off switch, and it's not your standard. It's a heavy duty. I think it's a 30 amp switch. So yeah, and we have the DVD player that's mounted to the wall. Works fine. Over here we've got the Mr. Heater. I think it's the Buddy, a little Buddy, one of those things. I've used these before. If you pay attention to anything that I'm telling you in this video, pay attention to this. Propane heaters are not a joke. The carbon monoxide threat is real. If you go to sleep with this thing on, maybe you won't wake up. Maybe you'll wake up in a ball of flames. I don't know. So if you're smart, warm up your cabin, you know, build it with some proper insulation, turn it on, babysit it, let it get nice and warm, then turn it off. If it's so cold outside that you got to wake up and turn it back on again, then you know, so be it. But that's a better alternative than not waking up at all. But as precautionary measures, always leave, you know, window cracked open. We've got the vent that came with the camper. That serves a little bit of purpose, but you know, open a window, and then of course, you know, you can never be too safe. There's a carbon monoxide detector. I'm also going to put in a fire extinguisher and a smoke alarm like I do in all of my campers. I don't know if I mentioned, but this is my third build. The first one is here on YouTube. It's a 5x8 I did a couple years ago. It's kind of a rough job, but my first one. The second one is a 6x12 that I have no video of yet, that I built for the family. It sleeps 4. But this one is kind of like for me, you know, just going out with me and the dog. There's the little dog bed. Here's a twin size bed. Sorry the bed's not made, just haven't got around to it. This one over here is like a 24x30 window with the blinds. The excuse me, the cabinet here is, I believe, a 36-inch unfinished cabinet, something basic from the Home Depot. Works well for storage. Picked this guy up at the local resale shop. Got to clean it up, but kind of fits perfect. So, and then here's another window. I think that pretty much covers it. As far as the carpet goes, that was just like a 5x8 area rug that I cut to spec to fit in there. And then of course the hose is a 12-inch Mr. Heater hose that goes out to the other tank. And let's see here. I've got some wiring for 12 volt. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I'm going to put a fan here. I've actually got one on the other side. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. Maybe exhaust to correspond with the vent. But we'll back out of here. We'll come on out. Let me shut the door here. Get my dog out of the way. This here is set up to where when you're sleeping at night, also I've got a little latch in here. But when you're in there and you shut the door, you know, I've always had a phobia when I've been building these things. I'm like, you know, what if somebody comes along and locks you in or whatnot? I know that's kind of silly, but whatever. Just to get around that, I put this in here, these eye bolts or whatever you call them, and you just throw a padlock through here, and if this is pulled tight, then you're good. So, okay, let's move around to the back. As you could, as you saw in the cabin, I built a wall to separate it from the end. I've got about 2 feet in the back here. Let me reach up here and turn on this light, see if it helps. And here's our camp kitchen. Let me try and back away a little bit. We've got the basic wire brackets for storage. You can pick those up at Home Depot. As you can see, I've got a little paper towel hanger. Another one of those cabinets. This is great for putting whatever you need in here. Some more storage on this side. There's actually storage up in the top. Just built a simple countertop, excuse me, my words are failing me today. Just simple countertop to put whatnot on there. I got to finish it. I'm going to put some sort of coat of something on there. Just another rack here for the pots and pans. As you can see here, here's where some of the power comes through. The beige box that you see right there, that's just a 12 volt panel that's plugged into the shore power. That feeds all the little stuff. And then that's a CB antenna that you see there in the corner. Don't have a CB here, but I did find out through messing around that that works great for an HD antenna if you've got an HD ready TV. All right, we've got these 7-gallon water dispenser jugs. When it's scoot over to the side, you can put 2 together if you want. Plenty of room for a cooler. Didn't want to put a fridge in this time. Did that before. Wanted to keep the power consumption down to a minimum. You know, have as much creature comforts as possible when you're out moving around, going from campsite or exploring or whatever. But not having to worry about power so much. Okay, so how is it powered? Let me close this door up here a little bit. We've got a simple inlet. You can use just standard extension cord. I think they rated like 125 volts or something like that. But that's designed for the elements. This thing here closes down and like that. And you just plug it into the standard outlet, or you just get a converter off 30 amp post. Let's see here. That's pretty much it. Here's another view. We've got these brackets here that I put on. The idea behind this is I was going to build some sort of wooden roof rack, make it look kind of nice, kind of like an old vintage pickup truck bed or whatnot, but can't do that just yet because once I do that, it'll be a little bit too tall to get it out of the garage. So, but that's it. Oh, wait a second. I did put another window in the back. We'll walk you around this side. Got that here. I got to clean up a little bit of dust that's on there. I had to notch out the bottom of the PVC frame. The window's still watertight, but the reason I had to do that is so it was very tight, but now it's an exact fit for this guy here, this little window unit. And that's obviously, you know, if I'm plugged into the shore power, because the battery bank here won't support it. Neither would the inverter, I don't believe. But yeah, we got 11.8 volts here. This has been sitting. I'm actually going to kill it power right now. This has actually been sitting idle for, I don't know, a week now, and it's still at 11.8. When it's charged up, it's like 13 something. So just sitting idle, the drain is minimal. Granted, I could put like a negative disconnect on there and whatnot, but when I camp, I'm usually only gone for 2 nights, 3 nights tops, and I could always pull my truck around and throw a pair of jumper cables on the battery and charge it up in 10 minutes. So just remember, you know, everyone who thinks they need a generator to charge their batteries, you know, just use your tow vehicle if you're actually towing something, and a pair of jumper cables, and save yourself the headache. But anyway, if you got any questions or comments, or if I missed something, oh, you know what? I did miss something. All of this is 5mm underlayment. The back wall, the walls on the sides are the walls that came with the camper, but the underlayment's pretty simple. Picked it up at the Home Depot, 4x8 sheets. It's like, I don't know, it's like a 1/4 inch thick. It's kind of like Luan, but I think it's a little bit thicker. I also use that to cut down to 2.5 inch strips to trim out the edges. It was originally trimmed that way, but when you pick up the trailer brand new, before you do any of the conversion, the first thing you got to do is rip the walls down so you can rough in the electrical and obviously do the insulation and whatnot. I don't know if I mentioned, but I used 4x8 sheets of polystyrene. It's got an R4 value, but I've done it in previous builds and it works pretty good. If you got a decent heater, if you're plugged into shore power, you can, you know, get yourself a little space heater and plug it in next to your bed or whatnot. But all those things you got to be real careful with. You know, you never want to take anything for granted. Make sure you come home to your family. Anyway, enough of my rambling. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll try to help you out. And thanks for looking.